So when I was parked for the night in Clarenville, I got a call from my uncle out west, who he found out that I was on the island here, and he was calling to remind me that I've got family on the island. He told me I've got to see if I can stop by my great uncle Daryl's place. Didn't know exactly where he lived on the island. I was kind of worried that I might have passed by already, and if it was a lot of backtracking to see him, it probably wouldn't happen. But then, so I talked to my mom, and I got my Uncle Daryl's phone number from her and called him in the morning. And it turns out he's a half hour up the road the direction that I'm heading. So when we figured out address and I punched it into the GPS and followed it over to his place in Albert Cove, or Albert's Cove. Yeah, and just had a great old time. I like I've been getting kind of down recently about the travels, and it's really being on the road as long as I have is starting to wear on me. So getting out to see him, I hadn't seen him probably since I was just a tiny little baby, if ever. It it was exactly what I needed. Yeah, took me out to the local bar near his place, just a tiny little spot, and met some of his friends, had a few beers, and it was just exactly what I've been needing on this trip. Newfoundland is full of friendly people so far, but I hadn't been able to really sit down, chat with some locals anywhere, and just hang out and get a good feel for the culture of the people, sorta. And they are a great bunch of people out here. We sat and had some beers. One of Uncle Daryl's buddies, Gus, I kind of admittedly had a hard time understanding sometimes when he was talking. He's got the classic Newfoundland accent, but with a couple beers in me, I started to understand what people are saying more. It's kind of funny. Just so I tried out a few local beers from the island, Blue Star and oh, Dark Horse, I think one was called. I can't remember because they fed three or four of them into me there. It was it was a really good time. My uncle, he cooked up a nice steak dinner for me. And also, he had me try some potted rabbit that he's got. He snares the rabbits, cooks them up, and jars them with some salt pork, helps it gel up, and it's just delicious. I hadn't had rabbit since I was a little kid. My brother used to hunt them out in the field, give the meat to my grandma, and she'd make meat pies. And the kitty cat even tried some, and she just loved it, which naturally I can see her wanting to catch a rabbit in the future if she got out running around wild. So it was exactly what I needed. Spent the night there and really just unwinded, let the cat run around free in the yard a little bit, though my uncle there, he has a cat who wanted nothing to do with the little one. The sound that his cat made as soon as he saw the little one, and the aggressive stance that it took, that said enough. I was only able to have her out when we had the glass patio door closed, because if it was just the screen door, the cat might have come through trying to get at her. I don't think my cat would put up too much of a fight either. It's a big one that he's got. So I only stayed for the one night. I I'll hopefully be popping back in there when I go back down the road, heading west after St. John. But the weather was too nice not to head into the city. I think we've got more rain coming, so I really had to seize the opportunity to go out to Cape Spear while the weather was really nice. My uncle got telling me that's the easternmost point of the country, and I wanted to check out whatever the easternmost tip was, so yeah, he tipped me off about that and headed off down the road towards the capital of Newfoundland, St. John's. There's some side trips that I could take out this way down around the Avalon Peninsula, and it would be nice to, but now that I've checked out St. John's, I feel like the mission's sort of accomplished. I went as far east as I possibly could, and doing a little busking in the city while I'm here, because this city just loves music. And soon enough, I'll be turning around to head home. I've decided that, so I've got three options here. I could go from St. John's to the closest ferry port over to Cape Breton in Argentia. I could catch that one, even though it's a 17-hour ferry ride. It would be just brutal. So that's one option that I've got. It would save the most gas, but I would pay the difference for what the ferry costs, really. I've got a second option of backtracking across the island the entire way that I came, back to Channel Port aux Basques, and going over to Cape Breton from there, and then heading home from there, which will involve backtracking quite a bit through places I've already been. Or the third option, which I've got my heart set on it, but I don't think it's wise. It's gonna be taking a risk if I go up to the north end of the island and take the ferry over to Blanc-Sablon in Quebec, and then go through Labrador and northern Quebec. It's really what I most want to do, but it's going to be risky, because there's some rough roads that way. There's some long stretches without really anything. You have to fill up with gas every single time you see a station, or you won't make it to the next one. And definitely can't kill the battery at night working on videos like I do sometimes. So I've got those options to weigh in my head right now. I really want to see Labrador, but I also really want to head home. So it's a hard choice to make. I don't really have to make that until I get back to Deer Lake, Newfoundland, on the western end of the island. So I still have that to figure out, but I'm getting ahead of myself again. In the video here, we are showing up at Cape Spear, which is just an unbelievably beautiful place. The easternmost tip of the island, the waves crashing on the shore, nice trails to walk around, lighthouses, and tons of people there to see it. I got the kitty cat out to walk around, and so many people were impressed by how she just stays with me, and, well, for the most part, she stays with me. Every once in a while, she starts following someone else around if they don't give her attention when they walk by. She chases them down for some attention. It's kind of funny. Of course, she always finds a crack in the rocks to hang out in. Little cave kitty. So we hiked around here for a little bit until I was satisfied that she was good and tired out. and just took in the view. She got a little close to that cliff edge and made me really nervous, but like she climbed down to a spot that I wasn't going to be able to get her back from, but she climbed back up on her own. I had a little heart attack about it, and then we were okay. Kept walking around, made it to the spot where they've actually got a fence between you and the far cliff, and just couldn't ask for a better day for it. I got a little freaked out, though, when this crow swooped down. He was catching the heavy winds and just hovering in place over top of us. And I think he was eyeing up the kitty cat, because she's small enough still that a great big crow like that would have no problem scooping her up, carrying her off, and making a meal out of her. So that spooked me a little bit, and we started back down the stairs to the parking lot. And the kitty cat, of course, when I wanted to go up the stairs initially, she was trying to go back down them, and then when I wanted to go back down them, she wanted to go up them. So you can't tell a cat what to do, you just have to negotiate with them, sort of. I tried to until eventually I just picked her up and carried her to the truck. She scratched me in the face for my troubles, but I had had enough of it and really had to just pick her up and carry her. Sometimes she acts a bit dumb. So then we headed back down from Cape Spear and into St. John's proper. Right to downtown, where they have Water Street downtown blocked off for a good 4 or 5 blocks, and it's all for foot traffic, vendors and tourists, tons of people walking around, several other street musicians playing, so I had to pick a good spot set apart from the rest of them. I don't like stepping on other people's toes, and because I play loud, I have to get fairly far away from other musicians just to be respectful of them. But I found a good spot, played pretty good set. I wish the GoPro battery lasted as long as my old one does, because it pretty much shuts off after 1 hour, and I played for a good hour and a half. So in the busking video that'll be up right after this, I didn't get the whole set recorded, but a good bit of it anyways, and ended up chatting pretty good with a local who was telling me all about Newfie music, how it's kind of a cross between Irish and Scottish and folk and jazz a little bit. He had a lot to say about it. He was telling me I need to learn some Newfie music, that it's what people want to hear while they're here, but I had to kind of apologize to him and say I only know the songs I know. I wish I knew some Newfie music to really fit the scenery here, but I play my blues and folk and rock music, and people were digging it. People were digging it anyways. I made a nice bit of gas money, and I'll probably stick around for the whole weekend, try and get out and play a few sets and offset the cost of the traveling a little bit. I definitely like this town. It's got a little bit of a certain magic to it that I feel in some other places, and definitely feel it here. It's a beautiful place.